All right, so now we're going to look at the joints with respect to plane and axis. So we have the talotibial, okay, and that moves along the sagittal plane with a frontal axis, okay, and then distal to that is the subtalar joint. So that would be the talus with the calcaneus. Now this joint doesn't move because it's got the plastic model, okay? But it moves in the frontal plane, okay, with this type of an axis. And the movement is inversion and eversion. So frontal plane always has a sagittal axis. So that would be your subtalar joint. Now there's a number of intertarsal joints and tarso-metatarsal joints. Those are not capable of anatomical motion. So the next joints that we're going to be concerned with are the metatarsophalangeal, or MTP. And these joints are biaxial, so they move in flexion and extension, flexion, extension. They also move in abduction and adduction, adduction. So metatarsophalangeal number 2, extension, flexion, abduction to the right, abduction to the left, because this is the reference toe. Metatarsophalangeal joint number 3, extension, flexion, abduction to the right, a deduction toward the second digit. Same thing number 4, extension, flexion, abduction away from the second reference, a deduction toward. Those are all occurring in the transverse plane with a vertical axis. Abduction, adduction, extension, flexion. And then you have your interphalangeal joints. And those are only unidirectional, uniplanar, uniaxial. Flexion, extension. Flexion, extension. Flexion, extension. Flexion, extension, flexion, extension, so on and so forth. So interphalangeal joint, proximal with distal phalange, because you have 3 phalanges. You have 2 IP, interphalangeal joints. Proximal phalange with middle, that would be your proximal interphalangeal joint. Middle with distal, that would be your distal interphalangeal joint. And again, the MTP, metatarsophalangeal joints, are biaxial. They move in the transverse plane, they move in the sagittal plane. The interphalangeal joints are only uniaxial. Extension, flexion, that's all sagittal plane. Frontal axis. Okay.